Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Shafer on Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a physician, mom, life coach, publisher, author, and I am passionate about storytelling as a tool to help you reclaim your story, reframe it, and build your most beautiful future. Thank you for joining me today on this short talk with Dr. Shafer. Today, I wanted to share a story I wrote about my husband called Love is a Washing Machine. My last name is very precious to me, Stedron. In Czech, it means generous. It is a gift to me from my husband, the most generous man I have ever met. I have seen his generosity in countless moments with countless people. We were friends long before we married, and I can recall always being transfixed watching him speak to strangers. He's the kind of man who helps elderly people get home safe, who gives directions to anyone and everyone, and in all sorts of languages, who helps anyone in any way he can, always, no matter what. He gives his time and attention without expectation and feels grateful for the small and large opportunities life gives him to be of service to others. He has helped me in immeasurable ways and has inspired me more than I could ever say. He believes in the good in people in a way that is rare and admirable, and his kindness is infectious. Recently, we went out to lunch at a restaurant. The charming restaurant was empty except for us and a few employees. The owner had come upon some hard luck and was struggling to cope emotionally with the sudden changes that left the entirety of the restaurant and her family's future squarely on her shoulders and in her hands. She was exhausted and stressed and trying her best to keep it all together. We talked a bit, we cried a bit, we hugged, and we shared our stories of challenges and of the triumphs waiting hidden in the wings, even in the moments that we can't see them. Even though the challenges seemed stacked against her, she still believed that she would overcome them. She absent-mindedly mentioned that on top of all the major issues she was facing, even the washing machine was broken now and needed to be replaced. Life was handing her a mess, and even her washing machine gave up on its job to help clean it up. I sat down at our table next to my husband, who looked at me with kindness and said, "We can help her." I smiled knowingly at him and watched as he pulled out more than what she had said it would take to replace her washing machine, and he put the money with our bill. Like I have so many times before, I sat and watched as he walked over to the kind woman and gave her generously what he could. He handed her the bill and the money. She was surprised and first said, "No," eyes wide, but then her shoulders relaxed and she hugged my husband, and her son, who was helping at the restaurant, wiped his eyes and shook his head. It wasn't an extraordinarily big gift, but it was enough so that it was one less thing on the list of challenges, one less hurdle to jump over, one less task taking up their time in this season of life that required them to really hustle, to work countless hours and simply get through. It was a small thing that we could do so that she could remember that good things can happen and that they will happen for her. And we have seen her continue to work tirelessly since this moment to rebuild and to create a more beautiful future for herself and her family than before, one step at a time. When we are in those moments of life's greatest challenges, much, if not most of it, requires us to do the work. We can't skip it. We can't pass it along. Most of the effort will be our own. And in a way, that's good because we have ownership over that. We can look back and say, we did it. But to know that we are seen, that we are appreciated, supported, and that someone believes in us enough to invest in us in small or large ways can mean all the difference in reminding us that we can overcome this, that we will get through. If I could encourage you to do anything today, it would be to be generous, to smile at someone, to share your time, your attention, to help in small or big ways, whatever you can, to make the world a better place. The gifts you give to the world are blessings, not only for those receiving them, but for yourself. When you give freely of yourself, you're coming from a place of enough. You have enough love, you have enough time, you have enough of something to share it. And when you do, and you feel the returns of your gifts, the energetic shift that occurs when you choose generosity, you realize how much you truly have. Sharing your gifts makes us understand that we are truly coming from a place of abundance, while withholding our love, our time, attention, and whatever gifts we have to share with the world only makes us feel more and more like our resources are scarce, no matter how rich we truly are. So I want to thank my husband for always being generous and for making me Mrs. Generous by way of marriage and by way of his example. I'm so grateful for the example he sets for our family in a world where it seems easy to turn inward and to focus on keeping all of our resources under lock and key. We've all been through a lot in recent years in this world. We all understand it is important to plan for the future. And we all understand that when we help one another, we elevate ourselves and each other in ways that when we are isolated and when we are living with a feeling of scarcity, that we could never achieve. I want to live a generous life, even on my most difficult days, because the gratitude I feel from understanding the richness of life and what we all have to share with one another brings such wonderful feelings of fulfillment and connection that I can't help but wait for the next opportunity to show up for someone. And please know that if you are in a season of your life where you are in need, and you are feeling your resources, your energy, your time, your patience is scarce, it is okay to lean on someone else for those things. We all have different ways that we can help one another and show up for one another in life's difficult seasons. And when you let someone show up for you and you accept their gifts, you are truly giving them a gift as well. I know in recent years, with recent challenges, I have benefited from incredible generosity from people who were family and friends and who became family because they were there for me in moments that were some of the most dark, challenging, frightening moments of my life. And having someone sit with me in those moments, reach out a helping hand, and help pull me through, and help me recognize and remember my worth, what I could bring to the world in moments where it was too difficult for me to see it because I was so overwhelmed. That is more precious than anything. So let people show up for you. Don't be afraid to show up for others. Be generous, live well, and love. Thank you so much for joining me on this short talk with Dr. Shafer on Talks with Dr. Shafer. Please let me know your moments that you have benefited from someone's beautiful generosity and moments that you were really proud and excited to be able to show up for someone else and make a difference in their life. I really feel that these moments of generosity are the backbone of what it is to be human and to live in a beautiful, connected, loving society. So please share your experiences. I would love it as well if you would make videos and tag me on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. Share your stories. These stories are the sorts of things that sometimes we think are quite small, but we don't always recognize the incredible impact that very small acts of kindness have on one another. So let's amplify these experiences of when we had the opportunity to be generous or when we were so blessed by someone else's generosity, and just remind one another of how beautiful life can truly be when we just show up for each other. Thank you again for being here. Please follow along with the show and share it with someone who you think would benefit from this message. I'm so glad you're here. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.